After 1,500 hours in Guild Wars 2 and around 4,000 hours in Guild Wars 1, as well as crafting a legendary across 2 years, I finally understand why people love Guild Wars 2. To give you a little more background, I've had a gaming experience that is most likely the same as all of you. We started off much younger, playing games exceptionally suboptimally, and just getting lost in these worlds. But eventually, after playing more, we started to get wiser. Maybe we started playing with friends, competing with each other, at first jokingly, but eventually you start trying to one-up each other and learn more about whatever it is you're playing. Make more gold, get a higher rating, but you fast forward this 10 years and you wind up in a scenario most of us are facing. I can 100% Guild Wars 2, and I've never really paid attention to the game, because you see, 100%ing is a task with a goal. Hell, most MMOs are tasks with a goal. Get higher gear score, kill X raid boss. Because you focus on the goal, you optimize the path as much as humanly possible. Why pay attention to the landscape when you can follow the top right indicator on your Raptor until the map's complete? After all, only 10 more maps like this and I've got my incinerator, right? That's how I thought. That's how I've been thinking about gaming as a whole. We don't sit down to get lost anymore. We sit down to complete in the most optimized and quickest way possible. You see, recently I've been worried about time, where I spend it and what I get from it. And after attempting Guild Wars 2 completely fresh, I realized the mistakes I had been making. Allow me in the next few minutes to show you a glimpse into the world we lost. You see, in fully optimized MMO play, you play with a camera fully zoomed out, so you have complete awareness of everything going on. You can see all boss mechanics and identify every single threat in PvP. But what I didn't realize is how much dimension you lose as a result. You see, Guild Wars 2 allows you to create your own camera setup in whatever way you like. And as I had decided on going with a warrior for my class, I set up a third-person Dark Souls style action camera. And let me tell you, I realized how much I had lost when his Soromir actually felt like a boss fight. To sidebar a little, I have multiclasser syndrome, or as psychologists call it, ADHD. I, during my time in MMOs, seem to somehow always end up with a capped version of every class. This came as a benefit as a content creator, since I had more tools at my disposal, but meant I never really built a connection to any of them in any game I played. When characters are just tools, you don't go into exact details about your mount colorings. This time, I chose to do things a little differently. I was going to pick one class that interested me and give everything to it. And as an homage to childhood me, I chose Warrior, the first class I ever got out of pre-searing as a young 8-year-old child with wonder in his eyes. And there I was, in Guild Wars 2, fresh and laid bare before a world I've hardly ever interacted with. The normal methodology would be finish a Soromir, go to the PvP lobby, exercise my reading skills with 80 tomes of knowledge, and go farm fractals until I closed the game for 6 months. But no, this was to be different. This wasn't about the goal. This time was about the journey. In character creation, it gives you a couple roleplay options, all of which I've played the stories for, so they didn't really feel fresh to me. It just boiled down to picking which story was the fastest to clear. But this time I opted to put a theme to my character and invest in the backstory. I opted for the angriest, assholiest Nord warrior who handles everything with ferocity, to find out if it was possible to even be the slightest bit evil in the Guild Wars 2 story, or if I was destined to be Tyria's savior, who for some reason spends all their day farming flax. It's easy money, okay? Don't look at me like that. I had no idea, unfortunately, what I was walking into. I tried to slow down right from the start, actually listening to scout dialogue instead of instantly pressing M and rushing the hearts. I took my time exploring the early starting zone, and with this new perspective from my camera change, everything felt so much bigger. Being in caves actually felt like being enclosed underground. That feeling of seeing Stormwind for the first time kept perpetually happening with areas I've already been through. Remember, I already have 100% map completion, but the world stood out so much more. The towering Norn structures and statues actually letting vistas play instead of instantly closing them for the completion credit. Asking myself, ooh, what's over here? Instead of letting the compass dictate my experience, all of a sudden I'm running into dynamic events that normally I would run past and not give a shit about, as they don't factor into completion. A shortcoming I don't think the devs thought about, but to be fair, doing every event to complete a zone would be beyond time consuming. It started creating unique moments where I'm out exploring, stumble across a large cave and wonder what's in it, to find an NPC asking me to escort them through it, and having a reason to explore deeper. Getting invested in the event that I would normally skip, and seeing items from vendors afterwards. Well, new items anyways. And whilst most of them are pretty forgettable, I decided about halfway through my time to put a light challenge on myself of seeing if I could hit level 80 without dying. Old Guild Wars 1 Survivor style. Although I couldn't, and whilst there's no achievement for it, that I know of anyways, it changed my approach to gameplay quite a bit. As a warrior, I have access to nearly every weapon, so as I started leveling and gaining access to new tools and weapon drops, I started to experiment. You see, if you play warrior at the top end, I hope you enjoy 2,000 hours of Greatsword, because for the longest time it was the highest damage weapon you could wield. So to say I had no idea what the abilities for offhand mace were, kind of puts into perspective just how much I truly missed in my optimization pursuits. Quickly, I started mixing and matching weapons, seeing what felt cool. Axe mace, sword, sword mace, longbow, rifle. Now there's a weapon. During my normal time in Guild Wars 2, I played Ranger, and I spent my time wishing for double pet Rifle Ranger. But you are telling me all this time this version of Rifle Warrior has just been sitting here waiting to be discovered. Multiple charges of volley, one-tapping mobs with kill shot. I'm a warrior who, due to build variety and options, is a more enjoyable range class than my bow-wielding Longbow Ranger. A quick commentary on builds then. The part I'm looking forward to experimenting with the most. Guild Wars 2 boasts an interesting system of tons of build variety, and yet none at the exact same time. You see, if you take on some of the highest content or wish to push high PvP tiers, you'll have a very bad time with a handcrafted build. Sword, Power Warrior? Kicked from group and one-shot by a backstab thief, even post 100 nerfs. But in open world, marching to your own doctrine, no one can tell you differently. So I did it. I played suboptimally. I used what looked and felt cool, and fuck me, I had a great time doing it. I started theory crafting open world builds that I could use to explore the world with, and realized now was the perfect time to have these epiphanies, as the new Wizard's Vault, the current expansion daily revamp, was selling build template expansions, which, because fuck you, I guess, is character specific, along with bag slots and bank slots. Fuck that marketing guy. I started thinking about Sword Torch, Longbow Berserker, Axe, Greatsword, Power Berserker, and start pondering what kill shot becomes when I berserk. All things to discover in time. Did you catch it? Did you say it? I know you said it. I know you said just Google it, because I did too. Even writing this script, I thought about it. But you see, my friends, that's our problem. We run from our discoveries. We lose the draw that keeps us going. We sacrifice the things that could inspire us to keep moving forward, because we just look the damn thing up and remove the mystery. That's what kept us playing all those years ago. The fact we didn't know that gave us the drive to get there. I feel the rise of the internet has heavily hurt gaming, and that we've developed a fear of the unknown, and an unwillingness to discover, because someone's already done the work for us. Someone's made the Rifle Warrior build guide, and all I have to do to succeed is copy it, rip through the world at breakneck pace, destroying everything in my path, removing all enjoyment from challenge, and all the fun of discovery. So I implore you, my friends, think of a stupid concept, the wildest build you can imagine, and go make it. Don't Google anything you may be inclined to. Test it yourself and rediscover what it is to discover. Maybe you'll fail. Maybe the build will be horrible. But just maybe you may enjoy the process. And that, my friends, is what Guild Wars 2 is all about. The process and the journey. This is when Guild Wars 2 finally clicked. To come into Guild Wars 2 seeking goals is a fast track to skip the fun part. And it leads to days where you just spam fractals and do the most optimal gold farming methods, even if you don't actually enjoy the game doing so. Take it from someone who did it. So now, I look forward to the maps I've yet to explore, even though I may have breezed past them at breakneck pace, charging towards my incinerator. I look forward to replaying missions I may have already done, to talk to the NPCs and roleplay my complete bitch of a character. And whilst I feel quite sad at the realization of what I've missed across my last year's gaming, there's a seed of hope that at least I get to experience it now, with the correct perspective to appreciate it. I find myself today at the start of a long journey, one fraught with map completion, slow-paced story consumption, and potentially another legendary journey, as I eye Eternity, Frostfang, Kudzu, and the Predator. The Wizard's Vault may aid me in that plan with its new legendary starter pack, which I can't help but give them praise for, as it sets all the journeyless people on a path that they may not have considered. As my issue with Guild Wars 2 used to be logging in, having no idea what to do, and logging out, now people in my previous place may be able to be directed into a long-standing adventure. It hopefully grips them as much as I pray Guild Wars 2's future content will grip me. And whilst I'm far from it, I look forward to attempting to see what I can find at level 80, on my own, with my own builds and self-creations, thrown together entirely suboptimally, to create my own adventure. Because that, my friends, is what Guild Wars 2 is truly about. Picking the legendary that appeals to you, playing the builds that you like, collecting and acquiring things that you deem cool. Where other MMOs put you on rails and say this is your path, Guild Wars 2 tells you the path is yours to choose, and the adventure is yours to discover. An adventure that in 1,500 hours, I seemingly missed.